This is an off-grid solar system that also has the ability to be grid tied. We're using the 18K PV from EG4, and we ended up saving this customer over $40,000 compared to the system that they were looking at. In total, they have 86 kilowatt hours of battery capacity, 24 kilowatts of output, and 17.6 kilowatts of solar input because we installed 44 of these 400 watt solar panels on the Sinclair Skyrack 2.0 ground mount. We brought all of the equipment with us on our flatbed trailer, and this was a lot of equipment to move and was very difficult. It's always preferred to have all this delivered directly to your house because then you don't have to worry about loading and unloading using a skid steer or front loader or forklift or anything like that. But these Hyperion 400 watt bifacial solar panels are really good and you can find them very affordably. All of this equipment can pretty much be purchased from Signature Solar, and I'll have my coupon codes and information in the links down below. That way you can get the savings as well. Once everything was done being unloaded where the solar panels were going, we had to get the batteries and inverters unloaded over at the house. One of the trickiest parts of this installation is that we're having to take it into a basement. These batteries, while they're in their packaging, are over 300 pounds and by themselves are about 280 pounds. This is the EG4 indoor wall mount battery with 14.3 kilowatt hours of total capacity. I highly recommend these. I also use these at my off-grid cabin and I absolutely love them. I would also recommend using a powered lifting hand truck because doing this one manually was a ton of work. With the three of us moving almost 300 pounds, it was rough. Luckily, because we were installing this in a basement, we had a heavy-duty concrete foundation wall that we could tie everything into. So we wasted no time and got everything hooked up onto the concrete wall so that way we could get these batteries hung. The AHJ, or the Authority Having Jurisdiction, which was the county permit office, was very particular for this job. Basically, they told us we could handle anything that has DC power, such as the batteries and solar panels, but anything AC power, they wouldn't allow us to touch and would have to be done by a local electrician. One of the hardest things is finding an electrician who's familiar with the equipment and solar in general, so that's why we were still here to help do this installation, because the electrician also was very unfamiliar with this equipment. He basically told us we could put in the panels and the batteries and he'd figure out the rest, and hopefully we'd be able to help him out as well. One of the issues that we found while installing these batteries is that the concrete floor was uneven. So because of that, these batteries didn't sit up just right. I'd highly recommend using Unistrut on the wall and then hanging the batteries on that if you're doing this yourself. The system came with a lot of cabling, but because of how the inverter is going to be laid out, we needed to extend the cables using these Polaris taps. Basically, they're UL listed coupling in order to put multiple cables together. That's because these batteries and inverters are going to be in an L shape. The hardest thing with mounting these batteries on the wall is getting everything perfectly aligned. That's why I recommend if you have the Unistrut, mount it to the wall, put these batteries on the Unistrut, because then you know that the Unistrut is going to be level and all of the same line, and you won't have to worry about having uneven concrete walls or uneven concrete floors. And I also recommend using 2x4s in order to lift them as a lever and put them into place. So on the first day, we pretty much got all of the batteries and things on the wall, and our electrician showed up the next day to start putting all the AC connections together. If we were to redo this, I'd probably recommend using the GridBoss as well as the FlexBoss 21 inverters, but these 18K PVs are still going to do a great job. But because we don't have a GridBoss, we basically have to wire all of these junction boxes that are going beneath this window in order to be able to transfer all of the energy to and from the house through the inverters properly. This makes it a lot more complicated, and we barely had enough room to fit all of this, and we had to get a special approval to have these little junction boxes in front of that window. And the only reason it got approved is because that window's already been blocked off by a back deck. So while all of this is going on, it was time to start getting the solar panels installed. Because we wanted to be able to get this job done in 3 days or less, we actually had someone else come out to do the dirt work. And as he started going down to try to get to the 5-foot depth, he started running into some major issues. You can see just how massive these boulders are. These absolutely sucked to try to get out of the ground, and there were a lot of them. Not all of them were as big as that first one that we saw, but bowling ball size, football size, or even pillow sized rocks will not come out with an auger. So we had to climb in the holes and pull them out by hand, so that way we could set these vertical posts for the Sinclair Skyrack 2.0. So just to get these holes dug and the rocks out took the 4 of us a whole day. But because we have concrete coming in the morning, we made sure to have all of these posts braced up and lined up just right, so that way as soon as the concrete comes, that we wouldn't have to worry about these moving around. One of the tricks that we found is that you take a bag full of pebbles, such as pea gravel, throw that into the bottom of the pit, and then stab your vertical post into it, this keeps it from shifting around as the concrete goes down into the pit. Luckily for this job, we didn't have to have sonotubes because the holes were relatively straight down. They did get slightly bell-shaped, especially on this one. There was a lot of dirt that had to get moved in order to get that hole in, but we've ordered enough extra concrete to fill this all the way up so we don't have to use sonotubes, which will be a huge money saver. Just using cheap wood from the hardware store, such as Cole Wood, which is usually 80% off, along with these ground stakes, allows us to hold everything in place, and you can simply screw it together so that way it's holding nice and tight, because if you don't have these braced up, the concrete is going to move it around a ton, and then the whole project will be off. Luckily, as planned, the concrete truck came early in the morning, and we started right away with getting all of the concrete into these holes. If you have the chance to run a drier concrete, it's going to make it easier to get this work done faster, simply because it's thicker. And they call that slump. You want a slump that's really thick. Unfortunately, we did have some of the bracing for one of the posts fail, so we had to fix that on the spot, but everything else kept moving along just fine without really any complications, because we had everything prepped with our string lines and our braces. It really is necessary to do this if you're going to go this route. Otherwise, I'd recommend having these pile driven into the ground. And because of the specific design, these vertical posts are actually pretty short and close to the ground, which makes it really nice to not have to use a lot of ladders in order to get the whole system connected together. The trick to getting solar panels in a really nice straight line is to set your first solar panel as straight as possible and then run a string line to the very far end of the rail. And then you line up all of the solar panels along that string line so that the whole bottom edge of the panel is touching the string line. Once you've done that, you simply put the panels up, bolt them into place, and this is the part that goes really, really fast because the solar panel mounting is actually really easy. It's the racking that's really hard to get installed. When you have a ground mount this close to the ground, you will be required to put some sort of backing across the back of the panels to keep birds, squirrels, and people away from all the wires. While Kyle and Rubai were working on that, I was helping the electrician down in the basement pull some wires and get these connections done properly so that way the whole system can work. This system will actually use a Generac backup generator, and they're going to have that as an extra backup just in case these batteries and the solar panels are not enough power to run their whole house. Eventually, the main goal is to be completely off the grid and never be dependent on it again, which is why we're being so robust with this system. But it called for a very weird wiring. This is what we were told we had to do, was use these large Polaris taps in order to put all 6 of these batteries together. The difficulty is all of the DC wiring has to be the same length, and so fitting all of this inside of the conduit boxes made it extremely difficult. This is what the engineering told us to do, so that's what we had to do. Look at how many cables are being put into this massive Polaris tap, and each one of those Polaris taps is a few $100s. This is the AC wiring in order to join the inverters together, so that way you can feed the house evenly and pull from the batteries evenly. Pretty much all of the wiring is hidden within the conduit boxes, and that's why I love using the EG4 setup, because it gives it a nice clean look. Because once you're inside the inverter, there really aren't that many cables to get all connected. I'm doing a little bit of the programming to set up these inverters so that way they'll communicate with each other and they will discharge and recharge equally. Of course, we made sure to include a rapid shutdown system, and this is right on the outside of the house. If there's any event where the whole system needs to be shut down, anyone can come outside, push this red button, and it all turns off. We used 4 solar inputs with 11 solar panels in series on each one of them. Unfortunately, we found out after this job was done that the electrician had done some of the wiring incorrectly, so we did have to have another electrician go out to get it all finished. But once it was all finally done properly, the system was off to the races and working great. It would have been really nice if we could have done a lot more of the work, but the county simply didn't want us touching the inverters really much at all. If you want to do a system like this, it's very affordable. We saved this customer over $40,000, and you can be completely self-reliant on a system like this. So if you want help with that, click the links down below or email me to info@minutemansolar.com.